Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So there have been multiple important developments in Gaza that can help us establish an understanding to where things are going. The first one is in Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis is a province in southern Gaza where Israel is now saying is the hub of Hamas. Why are they now saying that Khan Yunis is the hub of Hamas? Before I get into that, remember in the beginning of the operation, Israel was selling the world and trying to sell us that Hamas's hub and the central command team and all of the operations are run from beneath Al Shifa Hospital. Everyone saw, and before I get to what they saw exactly, it was one of the most brutal, barbaric acts what they did in Al Shifa Hospital. They surrounded it, bombed it, let infants die in incubators, premature babies, because they cut fuel off them, cut fuel and electricity, and they weren't able to function. I mean, who does that? Who does that? What a shameful time do we live in. I had to get that in. And the world was trying to sell their actual narrative. And we saw the evidence. Even the BBC reported about fake evidence. They were planting evidence. One gun here, two there. We saw their list of apparent names with people who were in charge of the hostages that ended up stating Al-Ahad al-Ithnain al-Thulatha, Monday, Tuesday, days of the week in Arabic. They were humiliated and shamed across the world, yet no one focused on these things too much, despite the barbaric acts that they did. But what did they try and sell back then? That Hamas's command center is under Al-Shifa Hospital. They went there. They didn't see any evidence related to Hamas's military command being under Al-Shifa Hospital. So now, and as they were failing, the previous Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, said, actually, the head of the central command of Hamas, it might be actually in Khan Yunis. Wow. So what's the significance of Khan Yunis and why are they trying to sell it to us now? Khan Yunis is a province where Hamas's leader is from, Yahya Sinwar. A reminder, and to put things into context that's usually missing from mainstream reports. Yahya Sinwar comes from a family of people who were expelled from their homes in 1948 territories. They come from Asqalan, which is modern-day Ashkelon, similar to many other Hamas leaders who were family members of parents or grandparents, mostly parents, who were expelled from their homes in 1948 territories. It's important to note these things and know who these people are. So he was born in Khan Yunis. Now, because he was born there, they want to try and find something symbolic that, they want to try and sell the people that we got the hub, we hit them bad in their home, we're following. Do you actually think he's going to be in Khan Yunis or in his house or in a tunnel in Khan Yunis? Maybe, but seriously. And after all of that campaign failed in the north, do you think you're going to actually do something in the south? So they're actually trying to do that to try and sell the Israeli public and the world an image of somewhat of a victory, which is against everything that is happening on the ground. Yesterday, I spoke in my video about the conflict and severe dispute between the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the Israeli Defense Minister, and how their main objectives are completely different when it comes to the war. They even couldn't come up with a statement. They couldn't do a press conference together. So each one did a press conference separately, which indicates a massive split between the war cabinet, which is supposedly leading this war. Imagine the chaos. Two people who are giving us completely conflicting objectives of the war. One is still saying we want to demolish the Hamas, the other is saying we just want to receive victory and weaken their military and command capabilities. Two things that are very, very different. And also, it contradicts what's actually happening on the ground. 2 weeks ago, over 80,000 Israeli reservists who were in Gaza were dismissed. If you're dismissing reservists, this means you don't need them anymore. There have been reports in official Israeli newspapers that two major generals and leaders of in the IDF or IOF have been expelled and dismissed because their whole soldiers left Gaza and refused to fight, approximately 2,000. So you have unwillingness to fight because it's completely pointless, lack of leadership, lack of objectives, total humiliation and lack of success in taking down Hamas and their military capabilities. They were parading in North Gaza, Hamas, when they were releasing hostages to challenge Israel, and they couldn't do anything about it. Now, Al-Qassam brigades released a statement just about a couple of hours ago saying that over 70% of the Israeli ground forces have left North Gaza. This means a couple of things. Number one, they also said that they left because of their constant fighting and constant targeting of these forces, which was evident on the ground. Where did they go? They aren't going in from other locations, and it's not like they've mobilized them to the south. They completely went out of the Gaza border. So this is hinting that these people are slowly and gradually getting away and trying to get themselves out of the war, and it's in complete opposition to what the Israeli leaders are saying in terms of what they're doing on the ground, how bad they're hitting Hamas, etc. So Khan Yunis is basically the next Al-Shifa hospital scenario, albeit in a different manner. They are trying to have this top highlight objective, right, that they're trying to sell to the public, and they will bombard it and kill civilians and say, hello, look, we've done our bit. Now we can continue to negotiate on the prisoner swap and on an all-out ceasefire or a further temporary ceasefire. There has been another development in Yemen. Yemen just declared, Yahya Sari', the spokesperson for the Yemeni military, he said that they actually hit this time. They haven't hijacked, they hit 2 Israeli ships. And he said, so long as the aggression and the war against Gaza continues, Bab el-Mandab will be a no-go zone for Israeli ships and anyone that deals with Israel. This also resonates with what the Iranian foreign minister said. He came up with a statement today saying that if this aggression continues, there will be an increased military activity from our side and we will enter a new phase. What does a new phase mean? We will know based on how far Israel goes with its attacks in Gaza and how they respond accordingly. Iranian allies, that is, or Iran directly, even though Iran operating directly is a little bit unlikely in the current circumstances. The Israeli public broadcasting published a statement from the head of the Israeli Shabak saying that he received orders to take down all Hamas leaders across the globe. We've heard a couple of reports about this previously. And the reason he's saying that, most likely, is because they are trying to put pressure during this negotiation phase or the expected negotiation phase and threaten Hamas leaders abroad, as if these people are afraid to die or whatever. This is quite unlikely because it will increase the tensions not only between Israel and Hamas and their allies, but it will also increase the tensions between them and the mediators. Who are the mediators? Primarily Qatar and Egypt. If you're going to start assassinating these leaderships who are mostly in Qatar and in Turkey, for example, what do you expect the response is going to be? They tried to assassinate Khalid Mish'al in, I think it was 1997. And back then, the Jordanian leadership asked the Israelis that you need to bring the antidote for the poison. Apparently, he was poisoned with like a liquid in his ear. So they told the Israelis, you need to bring the antidote to that, and immediately. And they asked Israel to also release Hamas leaders after that, including the late martyr Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, who Israel killed with 4 Apache missiles while he was leaving Al-Fajr prayer in Gaza alongside 2 of his sons, if I'm not mistaken. So this is quite unlikely, but they're doing that to pressurize Hamas into negotiating again. But what Hamas said, Saleh al-Aruri, who I quoted in my video that I posted yesterday, he also said a couple of things in his interview with Al Jazeera. He said not only that we will not negotiate under fire, but that the next negotiations will be for a full ceasefire, full permanent ceasefire. We will not be negotiating about a temporary ceasefire anymore. The next negotiations will need to address a permanent ceasefire and multiple phases where all of the Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons will be released, including those who have been there for tens of years and those with what Israel says have blood on their hands. So these are the main things that I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope I gave you a bit more insight, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Take care.